if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, I am your host, Drew Mandel. As he's off tonight, he was enjoying tonight's contest from the stands at the arena. No word if he had painted his chest like David Putty and was screaming at people, "We're the Devils! We're the Devils!" We'll find out about that tomorrow morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Dave, as little sense as it would for Ezzy to be doing that, this game tonight made very little sense in total. The Jets score 3 to start the game within the first 7 minutes and 39 seconds. Then they give up 4 to somehow relinquish the lead to the Devils. And then the Jets score 5 to end up winning by an 8-4 margin. The rarest of scores in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, it was as unusual a game as you could ask for. And, it was interesting because Paul Maurice's comments before the game started talked about how, you're expecting, these guys, remember, they played last night in Minnesota. So, I mean, you thought that it would be uneven, but instead, Paul Maurice talked about how his team would take a few days. They had 3 days between games. So he thought there'd be a buildup. Well, it was kind of a very unusual mix and match of the game. And you're right, Drew, it was chaotic, right? You got a team gets out to a 3-0 lead, blows that, subsequently blows it in the second, and is being outshot 8-0 in the first 5 minutes of the game of the second period. And yet they somehow blow it open at the later part of the period.
Well, you saw the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde Winnipeg Jets tonight. I mean, I think that's exactly what you saw. You saw a Jets team that came out like the house on fire that they should have been, given that they've had, they haven't played since Monday. They finally sort of got a little bit of a lull in their schedule after the very busy November. And then they just stopped skating. And when you stop skating, especially against a young, fast team like the New Jersey Devils, bad things are going to happen. And those bad things certainly did happen to the Jets. Then, lo and behold, they started skating again, and good things happened for the Jets. I mean, sometimes this game is not that difficult to analyze. And I would suggest that tonight was one of those games where the Jets, they were when they wanted to be in control of the game, I would say they were in control of the game. But you saw their inconsistency. You saw their inability to really, have a standard that they can stick with, throughout the course of the game. And that's why they were up, and that's why they were down, and then that's why they were up again. I mean, so yes, you're happy that the offense exploded. 8 goals, that's exploding. There's no other word for that. But you certainly have some warts in your game as well that you need to clean up before the juggernaut, and I do say that not tongue-in-cheek, the juggernaut Toronto Maple Leafs come to town on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the importance for the Jets, of course, was the fact that you needed to get Mark Scheifele going, and you got Mark Scheifele going. You need to get Nikolai Ehlers going. You got Nikolai Ehlers going. So, I mean, it wasn't pretty, and folks aren't wrong when they say that you were up against the Devils team that, they got pumped 5-2 by San Jose on Tuesday, pumped 5-2 last night by Minnesota. And so, the Jets beating them 8-4. Look, that's better than losing 8-4. but you got to take it with a bit of a grain of salt because they've got a very young team over there in New Jersey, and they're still kind of finding their way in the NHL, if you will. So look, I mean, it's not an ideal win, but a win is a win, and it gets you back from the outside of the playoffs to tied with Dallas, even though they've got the points percentage would be less, so Dallas would be in third. But from a points perspective, it puts you right in the mix. And even though the Jets were out, they were sitting in 6 before the game. It's all very tight. I think St. Louis was now 1 point ahead of them and was right. 3 at the time going into the game. So you've got a situation where you needed to win, and you did. And so you needed to get some guys feeling good about their game again, and they did. And so that's important. I mean, honestly, that game was as important for Mark Scheifele as it was for any player on the ice. I mean, and it doesn't erase everything, and you don't ignore the preceding, part of the season for Mark Scheifele and 16 games before this one. But the reality is, if Mark Scheifele can get going and Pierre-Luc Dubois look good getting Nikolai Ehlers going, well, then you've got something, and you've got some guys going again. And when you're getting contributions, Paul Stastny's such a smart player. Andrew Kopp was helping out. You've got Christian Vesalainen looked good, again, trying to get some more minutes for him. So I think those little things for the Winnipeg Jets are the important things to focus on. Again, it was definitely no Picasso. I mean, you're not going to hold that one up and say, well, it was great that, we found ourselves down by a goal and being outshot 8-0 after, 5 minutes into the second period. But, again, it's important for you to be able to fight back and beat a team. And the way they did it was fairly decisive, right? I mean, you've got, like I said, contributions across the board. And that's, I think, what ultimately the Jets are going to hang their hats on. Not the totality of the game, for sure not, but the individual things that occurred that will be able to be built upon. Because you're right, Drew, you're not going to be able to play this game against Toronto and hope to come out on the right side of the ledger.
Or Carolina on Tuesday. I mean, you have another good team coming in.
That's right. You got two really good teams coming up, and you couldn't look past New Jersey, because New Jersey, I mean, even though they haven't been playing very well of late, they were, I think, either 1 point back of the Jets with game in hand coming into tonight's game, or they were tied. So I mean, it was positionally they were fairly close to Winnipeg with games in hand. And so you couldn't really take them for granted, and you had to have a decent enough effort to win the game. They did. They win the game. You get marks for that, and you get points in the standings, so that's important. But again, it's not. There were some mistakes made, and there were some lulls in play that, again, good teams may not allow you to reopen the door after you've built yourself a 3-0 lead.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I think that's the main takeaway from tonight's game is the good. I mean, look, they get credit for the good, because this was a team who was in desperate need of something good to talk about, get some good vibes on them, get an offensive explosion. But there's also enough there that's still of a concerning level that they need to focus on tomorrow when they practice, I believe at 12 noon, if I'm not mistaken, that they, that there's some, New Jersey plays a very loose style. New Jersey is a very up-tempo style. I mean, coming into tonight's game, this Devils team had given up, 68 goals on the year. So they certainly, weren't shy about letting the puck in behind their goaltenders. And the Jets took advantage of that. And they took advantage of some loose defense. But as we talked about, they need to tighten things up. Their structure wasn't where you would want it to be. It didn't look like the ideal Winnipeg Jets game, the game that Paul Maurice and the game that the players want to bottle and replicate night in, night out. They're very happy to get this offensive explosion, but it's not like this was a hunky-dory, everything's Shangri-La moving forward kind of victory. That being said, a win is a win, and when you're struggling, you get full marks for that win. We say good evening to everybody. Welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I am Drew Mindell. Dave Manouk is the man with the fire behind his head. We're talking about the Jets and the New Jersey Devils, an 8-4 victory for the Jets. If you're new here, welcome. If you're familiar, nice to see you again. Smash the like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get alerted each and every time we go live with the Illegal Curve post-game show or the Illegal Curve hockey show. That, by the way, coming at you 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll look back at tonight's game. We'll get you set for Sunday against the Leafs with Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press and with Jeff O'Neill, our good buddy O-Dog, who's going to be joining us to talk about the Leafs and everything going on with the NHL. I mean, Dave, you have to start, as you mentioned, with Mark Scheifele, and this was a Mark Scheifele wants to be back in the Olympic conversation kind of game. You saw him at his most dangerous, using his speed, using his shot. You saw it from all three phases for Mark Scheifele tonight. The one-timer goal, that was the hat-trick goal, a beauty. The power play goal where he uses his speed and he fires the shot that beats Jonathan Bernier, a beauty. In tight, the dirty hands to open the scoring at the 1:52 mark, beauty. This was Mark Scheifele, offensive dynamo, one of the most skilled offensive centermen in the league, demonstrating that, oh yeah, I still have it. And the Jets needed to see that from him, because certainly people were worried about the Mark Scheifele that had appeared so far this season.
Yeah, I think that worry was justified. I think that they were wondering, where was the Mark Scheifele who could say, I can put this team on my back and I can carry the load, and I can be the guy that this team needs to be the number one center of the Winnipeg Jets. And I want to be that guy. It's everything that Mark Scheifele needed to do. And again, one game against the New Jersey Devils doesn't suddenly erase the preceding part of the season. You still have to, it's all about consistency in this league. And that's what Mark Scheifele's going to have to do. And, he talked about it in the morning availability. He talked about, just trying to continue to focus on doing the right thing and not trying to, cheat for offense. And I think that, to me, was what you saw for the most part. Right. And, smart plays set up those goals and set up those, and he's got to feel good. I mean, that's the thing. Like, a goal scorer feels good after contributing to his team. Look, Mark Scheifele is a goal scorer at his core. I mean, that is what he is there to contribute, and that is what he's there to do. So if he's doing that, it could translate. And that Mark Scheifele is going to be up for a game against Toronto.
Yeah.
I mean, that is another thing that you have to factor in. He knows that the eyes of the NHL are going to be shining bright in Winnipeg with, this Toronto team that's coming in, the narrative from the national media, like fawning all over the parade, blah, blah, blah. So, that whole thing is going to be there. And so, and you do wonder, right, with the whole Pierre-Luc Dubois going up against Connor McDavid, if that kind of galvanizes Mark Scheifele to say, okay, well, I'll take on Austin Matthews. That will be my challenge, because I want to be the guy who Paul Maurice puts against him. Now, defensively, it may be better to have Pierre-Luc Dubois than Mark Scheifele. But you know what? Like I said, credit Mark Scheifele. I think he won most of his faceoffs tonight. I think he was 11 for 14 at one point. I don't know how he finished, but he had a good game.
I have that for you. Face-off won 14. Face-off lost 5, 74% success rate in the circle. And that's what you certainly want to see from your number one center, especially going up against the young centermen who probably aren't, that's one thing that it takes time to learn in the NHL, is how to win the draw. And the Jets were certainly better in the draw than the New Jersey Devils tonight. The Jets winning 63% of the face-offs, led by Mark Scheifele among the forwards who took a lot of draws. That is, with 74% success rate.
Yeah. And like I said, I think that's key for these guys. And look, everybody's going to know, and none of these guys were looking ahead to Sunday's game and pushing and forgetting about the New Jersey Devils. Well, maybe they did for a bit in the end of the first period and the beginning of the second period.
About a 12-minute time span. Yeah, I think they forgot.
But they got the smelling salts out, and they kind of woke themselves back up. And look, at the end of the day, these guys have to. This isn't a performance that says, cue the parade. This isn't one of those things, because again, one game doesn't mean it. You don't lose your mind when the Jets lose a game, and you don't plan a parade when the Jets win a game. And so
they won against Calgary on last Saturday night, and then they followed that up with that stinker against the Coyotes on Monday.
Right, but the narrative of 1-5-1 now is they've won 2 of their last 3 games.
There you go.
So and the truth is, if you can do something against Toronto, if you can do something against Carolina, well, you remove the stench of those losses, because you're now putting some distance behind them, and you're changing that narrative because you're putting wins and you're regaining position in the standings. Because look, quite frankly, the Jets knew that they were in not a great position. I mean, it's funny because we were talking about, when they were on that hot streak, for the 15 games when they were 9-3-3, all we talked about was how they were actually ahead of the 2017-18 teams in terms of points and where they were in the standings and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden they go on that, 1-5-1 losing streak, essentially. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you go from first in the Central to 6th in the Central. And again, you're not that far back. You're only a few points. So it's not insurmountable, but it's also less than ideal, because the cushion that you've built for yourself, the one we talk about throughout the course of the year, that's so important to build in the early part of the season, is now gone. Yeah. And you need to start to put it back together. And the only way you're going to do that is against really tough teams right now, right? Like against a Toronto team that's, playing well, and it's against a Carolina team that's playing well. So, I mean, you're going to have to earn it. And that's, if you want to be a big dog and you want people to give you the respect of being a contender and not a pretender, well, then you have to be able to beat the big dogs. And so that'll be the test for the Winnipeg Jets the next couple of games, is to take the things that they did well tonight, not the power play, although the second power play was better than the first. The first was not good.
Wow. To your point there, I mean, there was one of the power play opportunities, and I don't specifically remember which one. I think it was after the Scheifele goal, so it was probably one of the third period power plays.
The
first line is out there, or the first power play unit, and they did nothing for 55 seconds, maybe 65 seconds, and then there's a whistle. I'm thinking, great, okay, you've had your minute, and they're still out there after the whistle. It was crazy to me. Just the allocation of power play time continues to leave me befuddled, as it has for the last couple of years, where the first unit, even when it's obvious that it's not as effective as the second unit sometimes, just continues to get, and this has been something that's been a bugaboo of yours, Dave, and you certainly talked about it on more than one occasion. That first unit, despite clearly struggling, gets 75, 80, 90 seconds, and then that second unit gets 30 seconds and can barely have an opportunity to set up, never mind really try and capitalize on the power play.
Yeah, no, I mean, the power play still, I know they tried some new things. They moved Kyle Connor to a position. I think he said today in the availability, he's only played it once in his career, which was the last game against Montreal. He said he liked it, but he didn't mind the move over. But, there's just not, it's not, to use a Drewism, it's not crisp enough. The attention to detail doesn't seem to be there. It's slow. And I mean, it seemed to be guys more moving towards the front of the net a little bit more throughout the course of the game, but it was still not enough. And look, I mean, like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your stinky power play isn't going to be fixed in one day, one game. But, I think what we saw was, and I can't see why the Jets can't employ the philosophy, but just keep your guys fresh. Like, and there were a couple instances in the game, not on the power play, but just in general, where, you finally thought, okay, the first line gets it, or second line, whatever the hell you want to call them, when Wheeler and Scheifele and Connor had the puck, and their tendency generally after is to reload and attack again, and instead they dumped it and got off and took got the next line on. I thought, okay, well, that was smart. You were seeing a little bit more selflessness in the game to get off and not try and do too much. That was important, and I think it just hasn't happened in the power play. And like I said, there's a reason why the Moose, and I'm not going to try and get a Moose minute here this early into a post-game show, of course, Drew, but it's why they have success. I mean, honestly, like I said, these guys, Eric Dubois, Mark Morrison, they know what they're doing, right? They have a top 10 power play in the AHL and a top 2 penalty killing unit, and they do it because they keep their guys fresh and they use a lot of different pairs. And that seems to be the key to success. So why the big club can't seem to adopt some sort of philosophy that would keep their guys fresh, keep their guys rolling, keep the other team guessing, I don't know. But like I said, I thought the second unit did better. I think the net front presence needs to be better. We saw it on Logan Stanley's goal. Like, again, not a power play goal, but just, getting some bodies in front of the net, creating a little bit of havoc. And Paul Maurice talked about it. He acknowledged it in his availability this morning. He said, we had a lot of shots in the game against Arizona, but, there was nobody in front, and they weren't the quality of the shot. Shot volume is great, but it isn't if it's just warming up the other goaltender. And I think,
giving him confidence.
Yeah. And so like what you need someone like Pierre-Luc Dubois in front, creating some sort of havoc and using his, is he 6'4"? He's a big boy. So, I mean, like he can handle himself in front of the net, and that's what you need to take away the goaltender's eyes. So, I mean, it's a work in progress. It's not a work in good progress. But I thought the second unit was better than the first. And I think we've heard that a lot over the course of the years here, but, yeah, I mean, I think that's one area that has to be of concern because, the power play is gravy. I mean, look, the Jets 5-on-5 have been good. And that's important, of course. You're 5-on-5, especially when the penalties dry up in the playoffs.
Yeah,
of course, you need to make it to the playoffs.
Majority of the games played.
So you gotta as important as it is for your 5-on-5 play to be solid. Which, like I said, for the most part, the Jets it's been better actually than than they have in previous years. They need to really clean up their special teams and figure out how they're going to get better in that area.
Well, it's funny you talk about special teams and you look at the New Jersey penalty kill. We just talked about the Jets power play. And you look at the New Jersey penalty kill, and it's certainly what I would describe as an aggressive penalty kill. You can't tell me, I just have trouble believing that a passive penalty kill is more effective than an aggressive penalty kill. And I know that there's a little more risk when you have an aggressive penalty kill, in that the other team might be able to move the puck quickly enough that you are potentially in some trouble. But a structured, so it can't be wild and crazy, but a structured yet aggressive penalty kill seems like it is the ticket to more success when it comes to your penalty killing. I mean, you look at the Devils penalty kill versus the Jets penalty kill. Now, the Jets only took 2 penalties in tonight's game. The Devils, of course, scored on one of those penalties. That was the Damon Severson goal that cut it from 3-0 to 3-1 late in the first period. Halfway through the first period, rather. But you just can't tell me that if the Jets employed a more aggressive penalty kill, it likely wouldn't be more successful. They're just so passive on the penalty kill. And then you compare it to a team like New Jersey's, which I thought was structured yet aggressive. And I think that, to me, is the secret to a good penalty kill, not what the Jets have been deploying for the last number of years on the back end.
Well, I mean, when you're the 31st penalty killing unit in the NHL, I mean, I'm fairly certain you can do whatever and you're going to do better than what you're doing currently. So, I mean, like I said before, I don't think it's rocket science what we're seeing in the AHL, but it seems to be working. And if anybody's curious about how they employ their PK differently, listen to Eric Dubois' media availability from last week. It was really insightful. Moose assistant coach, who's in charge of obviously the father of Pierre-Luc Dubois, and he is in charge of the penalty kill for Manitoba. And he talked about how their penalty kill is different than the Jets, and how, where they choose to be aggressive and whereas, the parent club obviously doesn't. And he's not obviously denigrating it. He's just differentiating it. And I think it's interesting because, to me, usually especially if you're employing the same systems, and if you see one team is having success, like it is a bit mind blowing, like that nobody from the Jets is paying attention. And I mean, let's be realistic. It's not like the Moose are going to say, "Hey, by the way, Paul Maurice,
look what we're doing over here."
Yeah, look what we're doing over here. But I mean, that obviously, like Craig Heisinger and Kevin Cheveldayoff, they watch the Moose games. They know what's going on. So you'd think that there'd be some sort of cross pollination when it comes to some ideas.
Is that a pun? Was that a pun?
It wasn't intentionally, at least.
Yeah.
But I just think that you think that there'd be a little more dialogue, and sometimes there isn't, right? Like sometimes we tend to think that even though they're in the same building, a lot of times these teams don't know what's going on with the other one. So, I mean, the management does, but the teams themselves generally sometimes do not. So you think, oh, of course they know they're crossing paths all the time. It's like, not really. The Moose are on their own. The Jets are on their own. They really don't have a lot of like I said, interaction. And so, but you do wonder, right? Why is it that there's not that more aggressive bend? Because the Jets should be able to, and again, we've talked about it, their PK was always going to be different this year.
Well, I think Dave may have frozen, so I'll pick up from Mr. Manouk while he's stuck in that froze position. Good evening to everybody. Just after 10 o'clock.
Oh, I'm back.
There you go. You're back? Okay.
Who was there? Was I gone or were you gone?
You were gone. I was the one trying to I was filling in for you. You were gone.
Really? I thought I sounded great.
Yeah, I'm sure you did on your end. Unfortunately, nobody could hear it. I was resetting. I was saying, good evening, everyone. Shortly after 10 o'clock at night, you are watching the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mindell, Dave Manouk with you, talking about the Jets' 8-4 victory over the New Jersey Devils. We remind you tomorrow morning, looks like, if I can do some quick math, carry the 11 hours from now, it's going to be the Illegal Curve hockey show, 9 a.m., We're going to get you set for the Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs on Sunday. We'll look back at the week that was for the Jets and, of course, look back at tonight's victory. We'll hear the perspective of Mr. Ginsburg as he will be joining us tomorrow morning after having a night off tonight. Dave, we were talking about the passive penalty kill versus the aggressive penalty kill and the success of the penalty kill from the Manitoba Moose perspective. I guess your thoughts about Christian Vesalainen moving up in the lineup a little bit. Obviously, he got the goal, so that certainly paid off for him. His second of the year assist to Paul Stastny. But your thoughts about sort of him moving up and Svechnikov moving down in the Jets forward group for tonight's victory.
Well, I like Christian Vesalainen's game. I like what he's got a decent enough shot. We've talked about the potential of his slap shot, and he didn't use, again, most important to note, he never used it a lot, right? He's not a big shooter, even though it's weird because, like I said, he's got a good shot, but he doesn't use it, which is unusual. But like I said, that's just, sometimes guys can do things in practice and you're like, let's see that in the game. And it just doesn't translate into an actual game, what they're able to do in practice. But yeah, I like, it's hard not to like anybody with Paul Stastny because he's just so smart. He really is. Like Paul Stastny is such a smart player, and you can just see it. Like on that forecheck where he caused the turnover, which results in Vesalainen's goal. And good for Vesalainen for getting to the front of the net, seeing an opportunity and making sure he was in place to receive that pass from Paul Stastny. But full marks to Paul Stastny for recognizing an opportunity to attack and getting it out to Vesalainen. But look, his game has had to change, right? And it's a game. It's a game I think is better suited to David Gustafsson than it is to Christian Vesalainen, especially on that. But I'm not trying to start the Gus bus up right now, especially after Christian Vesalainen scored. But I'm just saying, like, it's an interesting sort of conundrum with Christian Vesalainen as to the kind of player you want him to be. And clearly the Jets don't, I think, because otherwise they'd put him in that position, have him as a scoring winger. So they're going to try and mold him into something that's slightly different, which is, can contribute a little bit of offense, but is going to be responsible defensively and hopefully in their minds learn that from Adam Lowry and Paul Stastny. And I don't think it's a lack of trust in Svechnikov. I think they like what he seems to be bringing to them, but I think it's kind of like that ability to get, like Paul Maurice was talking about, giving different guys responsibility more or less, and then getting them going, because you can't just have one or two guys going. You need this to be a team. And, it's funny. It's one of the things I wrote about in the papers, and I'll do a sidebar on that in about a second. But I think it's just one of those things I said. The good thing about this drought for the Jets was the fact that they were all stinking and they weren't all not scoring. And it was going to take it's true. And it was going to take a collective group effort for them to get out of it. And that's what you got tonight, right? You got a collective group effort. Again, not a pretty game by any stretch of the imagination, but it was an effort that saw multiple guys score, multiple guys like Ehlers and Scheifele who needed to score. And then to add in a guy like Vesalainen, that's obviously hugely helpful. Josh Morrissey, even though it was like two inadvertent, he had a goal for and a goal against, both inadvertent tips. But I think it's just kind of like one of those things that just keeps guys going and it gets everybody engaged. And Josh Morrissey tied his total goals from last year in like 33 fewer games, right? And Pierre-Luc Dubois tied his points total from last year in 18 fewer games. So he's up to 20 points in 23 games for the Jets. So, you're seeing a lot of really, like I said, not a great game, but it's a kind of game that could give a team confidence. And I think we'll see what they do in Toronto, but they know they're not going to be able to play a loose game like that, give up 3-4 goals, and then be able to fight their way back. So they're going to have to play a different game than they did tonight. But I think the important thing that you take from this evening and leave the rest behind is that idea of getting these guys fired and feeling good and feeling like the monkey is off their back a little bit.
Well, on that note, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about that monkey. Is it really off the Jets' back? Is tonight an anomaly, or is this team back to sort of the good Winnipeg Jets that we were used to seeing before they were in the midst of this slump? We'll also give away some prizes courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck and Bagelsmith. So stay with us. Much more to come. You're watching, you're listening, you're chatting with the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett. The biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
Whoa, Ezzy, why are you so happy?
I just crushed 2 fresh Bagel Smith bagels with schmear. They're open on Jets home game nights until puck drop.
Didn't you have Bagel Smith for lunch too?
Yes, I did. What's your point?
Come on, Bagel Boy, let's go to the game.
Bagel Smith is Winnipeg's first and only Montreal-style bagel shop located at 185 Carlton Street. Visit bagelsmith.ca.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
Whether it's watching the game with friends, pizza night with the family, or date night for 2, this holiday season give the gift of special occasions. Get a free $10 promo card when you buy a $50 gift card from Boston Pizza. Because nobody regifts pizza.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk with you here on a Friday night. Winnipeg Jets 8-4 victors over the New Jersey Devils. A game that was certainly entertaining and may not have been the most aesthetically pleasing hockey game. Maybe gave to the coaches a little bit more gray hair than they had prior to puck drop, but it was entertaining for the fans in attendance, certainly better than the snooze fest that was Monday night against the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah,
right,
sorry, Drew. I was just going to say it's funny because our Illegal Curve photographer, Alexander James, was like, he had a commitment. He had a dinner tonight. So I said, okay, well, that's unfortunate. And he, of course, shot the Coyotes game for us. And I said to him, and I texted him. We were talking about it, and he said, I can't shoot Friday. I said, oh, that's not a big deal. I go, but of course, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be an incredible game, and you're going to miss a ton of goals. And of course, it was 12 goals in the game. So I was unfortunate that we didn't have a photographer there, but that's what happens every once in a while.
Every now and then, says life gets in the way of our illegal curve wants and needs. But we persevere, we fight through the adversity, and we give away bagels. And we're going to give away some bagels to In Svech We Trust PLD for his comment. IC gets stressed easily, but solve problems easy also. I think that's in reference to the Rollies transfer commercial that was playing during the ad. So
shouldn't that just be that Ezzy gets stressed easily and you and I bail him out?
That's exactly really what it is. That's exactly what it should be. I was being polite for a minute there, Dave, but it's really as he gets stressed, and Dave and I come to the table with solutions. So that the sentiment is accurate, but the individual involved is Mr. Ginsburg. So In Svech We Trust PLD, send me an email, drew@illegalcurve.com, or you can send me a DM on Twitter, and we'll send you the details of your prize, courtesy of our friends at Bagelsmith, one of the many proud sponsors of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of this fine program, or Saturday's show, or the website, or all of the above, you can also send us an email, drew@illegalcurve.com or dave@illegalcurve.com. Let us know, get in touch with us, and we'll hook you up with our latest Illegal Curve advertising information. Nikolai Ehlers in the post-game comments, Dave, coming out now, seeing these following the contest. They'll be available in their entirety on illegalcurve.com shortly after the post-game show wraps up. Mr. Ehlers unhappy with the slew foot from PK Subban, justifiably so, being unhappy. That is both a dangerous play by Subban, yet something that he's almost become a specialist in. It's odd that the NHL continues to sort of turn a blind eye to it when Brad Marchand is currently suspended for also a slew foot.
Well, and it's interesting because it happened, what is this, the third time now or fourth time this season alone that he's been guilty of doing something? And it's funny because you're watching that play and you watch the replay and you're thinking, okay, his leg comes out, you see it's a tendency of his, right? And then he pulls back his leg. So you're like, well, did he do it, or is that just like a new, tact of his to try and like do it, but without doing it as obviously and making it look like, oh no, I didn't really do it, I pulled it back. It's hard to know because you want to give a guy, and then he apologizes and you can see that he's, stays behind to apologize to Ehlers, which is unusual because the puck is actually moving up the ice. But it's unfortunate. PK Subban isn't the player he once was. You can still see he still enjoys the game because he's always got a smile on his face, but he just doesn't have the same presence. Sluban, yeah, exactly. Jeff Cable.
Okay, hang on. But there you go. Hardest hitting comment, courtesy Tough Duck, goes to Jeff. Jeff, congratulations. There you go. That you mean you calling him Sluban. That means you're the winner of the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment in tonight's post-game show. So send me an email, drew@illegalcurve.com, and we'll hook you up with a toque, courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck.
Yeah,
Continue
on.
No,
it's okay. No, but I mean, yeah, and I don't get me wrong. I just don't think it was an egregious slew foot. I definitely think he did it. I mean, like Ehlers goes down. It also doesn't help that it's Nikolai Ehlers who's always going down apparently. But yeah, I mean, it's something like, it's interesting. There's been a rash of slew foots this year as guys are getting away from cross-checking, and now they're moving it over to slew foots, and we've seen it across the league. And it's just, look, if you're the NHL, how you get rid of it? Suspend a bunch of guys.
Well, you make it a zero tolerance. It's a very dangerous play. I mean, you got a guy who's falling, who if he can't brace himself, and this one again wasn't as egregious as some of the other ones we've seen, but a slew foot is a slew foot, and if Ehlers can't brace himself, he could get seriously injured just like anybody else. That's why Marchand was suspended for the 3 games or however many games he got for his slew foot. It should just be a no-brainer. That's how you get it out of the game. You make a guy change his style as opposed to really reward him by not calling anything. I mean, there was no penalty on the play.
Yeah, which is weird. Which is weird because the ref was right there. So I mean, you'd think it'd be an easy thing to do and to call, and I don't know. I mean, like I said, it didn't have a huge impact in the game, and obviously Nikolai Ehlers was fine. But you know, based on his reaction and essentially challenging Subban, you know, subsequent, I think it was either just before or just after Scheifele scored.
Yeah.
I think it was just after Mark Scheifele scored, and so he's pissed. And his post-game comment, right? Like I think he said to Mike, "What you can look at it. I'm not going to comment." So he's obviously not happy about it. And I mean, look, it's a dangerous play, and you guys, I mean, a guy can get, you know, significantly injured, as we talked about. I think they talked about it on the broadcast, right? Like, who was it? Subban put out someone. Who was it again?
I don't remember. I know what you're
anyways,
talking about.
But the point is that it's just not a smart thing to do. And so, you know, don't be like PK Subban. Don't do Slewfoots, people. But you know what you should do, which I've been told PK Subban likes to do when he does watch the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, is smash the like button.
Smash the like button. There
smash
you go.
it. I mean, that is the most important thing that everybody does. Well, I mean, you can do a few other things. You could read illegalcurve.com like 5 times a day. That helps. Always a good thing. You can smash the like button. That also helps. You can drop a review on our Google or Android or Spotify.
A review of the podcast is what you're saying. Wherever you download the podcast, you can give us a review on it.
Yeah. Like the last review, I mean, I'm not going to say it was written by me, but the person did write, "We need more IC Dave talking about the Moose." Just saying.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll get an opportunity tomorrow. The Moose haven't played since Monday. When the Moose last play? They played last weekend, right?
Yeah, they played on the weekend.
Yeah, they played last weekend. We covered the Moose Minute.
Yeah, but they have a new but Drew, they have a new captain.
That's true. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to save it for tomorrow? For tomorrow night?
Can't I do it both
tomorrow
times?
morning? Well, because it might, you know, we don't want you to be repetitive entirely.
I don't think it'll get stale, and plus Ezzy will be interjecting, so it'll be like slightly different, but the same.
Okay.
Anyways, do you want me to do it, or do you want me to wait?
Save it for tomorrow.
Wow.
Save it for tomorrow.
I mean, I don't think we should let Drew be the decider of this. I say we go to the comments. Hold on. Joe from Winnipeg
says we need a Manuk Moose hour.
Joe, I'm picking up your wavelengths. I'm negotiating some things right now. Hopefully in December. Wait, it is December. Hopefully sometime this month we're going to start some more Moose features. But I can't talk about it yet. Can't talk about it. But I will have something, I hope, in the works coming up very soon for the Moose.
Okay, well, there you go. It seems.
Well,
there you go. Willie says, "Tell us who the new captain is." So why don't you talk about the new captain of the Manitoba Moose?
The new captain, the 11th captain, of course, because we're going back to Jets Moose 1.0, in addition to the Moose 2.0, is Jimmy Olney. Jimmy Olney, if you remember, was the Moose traded for him the Jets actually traded for him with Vegas Golden Knights in 2019. It was a minor league deal. And you know what? He's provides a steady veteran presence. Although he wasn't even a veteran, he doesn't even qualify. He just started qualifying as a veteran in the AHL this year. So he's a steady veteran guy, and he to me it was either him or Cole Meyer. I mean, those are the two guys. Cole Meyer ended up being named as an alternate along with David Gustafson. But Jimmy Olney's a really good stand-up guy, really well liked by his teammates. You know, guys like he's playing with Ville Heinola. Ville Heinola stands about 6 feet tall. Or 6'5" when he's playing with Jimmy Olney, toughens him up a little bit. And he's a guy who doesn't allow, because there's a lot of young, deep prospects, obviously, with the Manitoba Moose right now. So he is one of the veteran guys on the back end. And so he's really well respected on and off the ice by his teammates, by management, he's easy to deal with. I mean, I haven't had a ton of interaction with him. I might have to start bringing my mom to, who's a retired French teacher, and she can be the interpreter, and we can have
translator.
Yeah, she can speak, ask him questions for me, but hold on a second. What is it?
Oh no, he's in the car. I'm not letting him on.
All right. So we'll just keep, I like that. That's even better. Anyways, so Jimmy Olney's the 11th captain. He took over Peter Stojkovic, the Winnipegger. He was the guy who obviously was wearing the C for the Manitoba Moose the 2 seasons prior. He retired, so they didn't have a captain last year. And then before him was Patrice Cormier, and before Patrice Cormier in the first year of the Moose was John Albert.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, speaking about the captaincy, you mentioned that David Gustafson was one of the associate captains named in, or alternate captains named earlier today or earlier this week. What do you make of that? Does that tell you?
Not a thing.
You don't think there's any correlation between that and his potential of being up with the Winnipeg Jets?
Zero, less than zero. And in fact, I kind of addressed. Just because, I mean, if they named him C, then that would be concerning, because the C is a guy you want to be with the team the entire year. And, Jimmy Olney's obviously that guy. David Gustafson wearing an A, it's not a big deal. I think it's just a sign. One, he's a well-respected player who's one of the top performers on the team. So him wearing an A, again, like he's well-respected on and off the ice. So to me, that's not even an issue. But the reality is, like, the Moose have had 6 or 7 guys, CJ Cease, Austin Pagansky, Christian Reichel. You've had a ton of guys wear an A this season for the Moose. So to me, it's not even a thing you like. If Jets fans are worried about that, don't be. That's not going to preclude you from having David Gustafson come up to the Jets, is the fact that he's wearing an A on his jersey.
Okay, well, because that's good to know, because I did hear a lot of people who were concerned.
I saw that, but that's just, I hate to say it, but that's just people who don't know what they're talking about.
Fair enough. We have room for everybody here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, though. The Illegal Curve postgame show, to be more accurate as to what you are watching. We're talking about the Jets and the New Jersey Devils, an 8-4 victory for the Jets, getting off the schneid when it comes to goal scoring, finally breaking through and getting a barrage of goals. I don't know the answer to this. Maybe somebody smarter than me can find out. This to me has to be probably the first time in NHL history, or one of the very first times in NHL history, where a team scores 3 goals unanswered, then gives up 4 goals unanswered, and then scores 5 goals unanswered. I mean, I don't think that's happened very often in the NHL. Maybe the Elias Sports Bureau, I tweeted them. Maybe they'll be able to say for sure if it's ever happened before or not. But it really was just a very bizarre game tonight in downtown Winnipeg, but the Jets coming away with the all-important victories. The line of Scheifele, Wheeler, and Connor absolutely on fire. Scheifele with 4 points, 3 goals and an assist. Wheeler with 3 assists, and Kyle Connor with 1 assist for an 8-point night for that line. Certainly a long time coming, as they had been struggling. They had been struggling for a while.
Yeah, for sure. But by the way, I'm going to quickly, I'm not going to do any more Moose stuff, but worth noting, Jets 21 first rounder, Chaz Lucia scored 2 goals tonight for Minnesota in a 5-1 win over Michigan. So he's heating up. Maybe talking to Weber last Saturday when his Minnesota team visited UND, got him ready. He felt like he was talking to a professional scribe, guy connected to the big team. And that got him going. But Chaz Lucius, he's heating up. And so that's good because, he is a lights out performer. He was one of our, I'm trying to think, we've talked every year to the Jets draft picks whenever they've been selected by Winnipeg, whether we were at the draft or whether we were doing the show on the radio or the show in this incarnation. And his was one of the most fun interviews. It's always great to talk to the kids when they're kind of young and not jaded and excited to have a dialogue.
Especially with, they get sick of the media pretty quickly. But Chaz was certainly excited, as you would expect him to be when he was drafted. You can find that in our archives on our YouTube page. Go back to our day 1 of the NHL draft coverage, and you can
just search Chaz Lucius Illegal Curve. It'll come up.
You can find our interview with Chaz Lucius. And if you missed Kenny's article, where he talked to him, you can check that out. Kenny Weber, buddy. It's I've
got it on Illegal Curve.
There you go. It's on our website, illegalcurve.com.
Yeah, and 2 more things. One thing is Joe from Winnipeg says, don't forget about Nathan Smith. I'm definitely not. The Jets 2017 third rounder? No, 2018 third rounder. Sorry, 2017 third rounder was Johnny Kovacevic. But Nathan Smith is the one of the top scorers in NCAA right now, and he's a forward prospect, and the Jets don't have a lot of those in the system. So he's definitely a player that you got to keep your eye on. And just a quick note about the website. I just want to thank everyone for kind of bearing with me. Illegalcurve.com. We switched over to a more powerful server just because we were getting more and more activity, and so as a result, we needed to upgrade the server, and so we did. And I've got everything up to date and ready to go, and we're firing on all cylinders now. So I had to work out some gremlins, figured it out, but we're good to go. And so the website is up to date, has everything. It's got already the post game. Doesn't have our recap on it yet, but it has a lot of post game stuff. We'll have the Marie's comments, Ehlers comments, and everything else up on illegalcurve.com.
There you go. Well said. And yes, it's a good problem to have that the website needed to be juiced up a little bit because it's too popular. Certainly better than the alternative, much like it is here on the post game show. This is the Illegal Curve post game show. We do this after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, which means we'll be back at it Sunday night. I believe this is the first Sunday night game of the year. Don't quote me on that entirely, but it's usually Sunday night. I'm that's more of my I'm going to bed kind of early night. Obviously not going to be the case this Sunday, as it is going to be a hectic one, as it always is when the Jets and the Leafs do battle. So get back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. That's in 10.5 hours from now. And then join us again on Sunday night, right around 9:45 p.m. Hopefully we'll be celebrating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers heading to the Grey Cup and talking about the Winnipeg Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs, which what will undoubtedly be an entertaining game between those two teams, as it always is when the Leafs come to town, Mr. Manouk.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you always got to enjoy when Toronto is. I think they're at home.
They're in Minnesota tomorrow night.
Oh, right, they're playing. Yeah, so I mean, it does minimize the influence, if you will, and that's right. That is the advantage the Jets have in that they're playing, and Minnesota's playing.
I'm incorrect. I believe they're going to Minnesota maybe after they play the Jets. I'm going to check.
No, I think you're right. I actually think you're right. I think they practiced at home today, and I'm pretty sure they play tomorrow because I think someone said the Jets.
Right. I am right.
Because someone had said that the Jets will be the beneficiary of playing teams who have played in Minnesota the previous night. Minnesota, of course, I think pumped Arizona today, so the Wild aren't taking their foot off the gas anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a huge test for Winnipeg because you're not going to be able to play this game, and will they be able to tighten it up? Will they be able to play a game like we saw against the Edmonton Oilers against Toronto? And if they can, I mean, like so many people say, oh, they just play down to their competition. Sometimes they play up, but they also obviously sometimes play down. And that's the reason why you have the results like you do against, Arizona. But the truth is, if the Jets can tighten things up and not be loose, because you'll get burnt. And if that's the case, if they can play a game like they did against the Oilers, well, you'll be in for a good game. And nobody expects you to win every game. I mean, like we talked about earlier in the program, Drew, you've lost the luxury of dropping multiple games in a row now.
Yeah.
You need to build back the war chest. You need to get it back. The standing bank has to be rebuilt.
The rule of thumb is you can't go more than 3 games without earning 1 point, at least 1 point. So, I mean, that's the rule of thumb in the NHL. If you want to be successful, the way to earn points and the way to be successful is to not go more than 3 games without at least getting something positive on the score ledger. The Jets have struggled with that as of late, as we all know. Tonight, they certainly feel better about themselves. 8-4, the Jets with the victory over the New Jersey Devils. Mark Scheifele with the hat trick and an assist to go with it. We had 2 goals. The Jets got 2 goals off the stick of Nikolai Ehlers. He certainly feels good about himself. And other goals courtesy of Josh Morrissey, Logan Stanley. Actually, I think that's been changed to Adam Lowry, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be Adam Lowry's goal, not Logan Stanley's goal.
Yeah, it's funny because that's what I tweeted. I said, like, it looked like it went up and Lowry had tipped it. And they kept saying that it was Stanley's. I thought it was Lowry's, and that's what I said. It looked like after watching the replay that Lowry had actually tipped it. And you kind of see him on the bench laughing. So Stanley will have the assist, but I think it'll be Lowry's goal.
It is. It was changed sometime during tonight's post game show. They went back and looked at the video, and they officially changed it to Adam Lowry's goal, and then the other goal, the 8th goal that the Jets scored tonight, not in chronological order, mind you, Christian Vesalainen getting his 2nd of the season. So 8-4, the Jets victors tonight over the New Jersey Devils. We want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors of Illegal Curve, of the post-game show, of tomorrow's Illegal Curve Hockey Show, and of course of IllegalCurve.com. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Bernstein's Deli, Tough Duck, Bagelsmith, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, and Rolly's Transfer. Support these fine businesses because they support Illegal Curve Hockey. If you want more information on becoming a sponsor, if you know of a business that should become a sponsor of Illegal Curve, send us an email, drew@illegalcurve.com or dave@illegalcurve.com. I'm reliably informed that our buddies Kenny and Rennie are firing up the post-game show, so we do encourage you. You can head over there and continue the Jets talk. And, of course, our website, if you want to get the entire post-game recap, that'll be available on illegalcurve.com. Dave M. going to be hard at work getting that together momentarily. We'll be with you again in about 10 and a half hours with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Until then, after a night the Jets win 8-4 over the Devils, for Dave Minuk, I am your host, Drew Mandel. Until tomorrow at 9 a.m., we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve postgame show.